options for Councilmember Williams' replacement?
Yes, sir, we can put it on there. We'll just add that under new business.
Okay.
Okay. Any other changes? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, likewise.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question just for clarify. Mr. Williams is seated here. Is he legal?
He's here, but he's not going to vote. He can't vote.
Well, should he be sitting at the table?
I mean,
He's not a councilman.
do you mind sitting somewhere else? Maybe sit up next to,
I mean, I respect your history here, but legally, you're not a councilman anymore, is that correct?
that is correct.
No problem, sir.
All right. I guess the next thing we got is old business boards and commissions vacancies. Melissa, are you doing that?
I am. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. In your folders, you'll find a memo regarding the recommendations made by City Council at the last work session regarding your board and commission appointments. If you guys will take a look at that, we have highlighted Ms. Lancaster and Mr. Lewis because they were recommended for 2 boards. And we just need 1 appointment on the Commission on Community Relations and Development.
Well, now, so let me just ask a question to be sure I understand.
Okay,
We got one person we're saying we're going to reappoint.
yes, Mr. McFarland,
Okay, and then we got one person that we need to reappoint.
yes,
And that's the Watoya Lancaster?
if that is what council wishes.
So there's 3 positions there, right? Imari Oliver, O'Shea Lancaster, and Marcus Lewis to fill one of these other positions. And she highlighted Lancaster and Lewis as also being nominated for the Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
As being person with disabilities?
Yes.
Okay.
So you see their names twice. So if you select one up above, you wouldn't be able to do it down below.
Gotcha.
And when you go below, they're looking for 3 appointments and 1 reappointment. So really, all those people you need. So you might want to consider approving Imari Oliver as the appointment, unless you want to make other changes. Do I have that correct?
That would be based on what they discussed at the last meeting.
Yes.
Who's the board?
Yep, the board's previous discussions, last council meeting.
Well, I mean, it's just my opinion. My opinion is I think they need to come in and explain who they want and why. Is there any reason we can't do that in the future?
We can
No,
absolutely do that. If that is what council would like, we can absolutely do
Yeah, I don't
that.
know any of these people. Some of you might. But I know, like, we already got a problem on the recreation and parks. Yeah, Diana Taylor can't be reappointed.
I just wanted to clarify, what it says above is that the city council meeting on November 16th, council made the following recommendations for appointments. So council double tapped those names if I have it correct.
Okay. So we're on commissions on community relations and development. And we need to reappoint one person, to Steve McFarland,
Right.
and then we need to appoint a new person. And we had said we were going to use Watoya Lancaster. Does anybody have any problem with that?
No problem.
All right. Then Melissa, hold that for now.
Okay,
All right, then we're going to move to the municipal golf course. Excuse me. And we got Joe Thomas is eligible for reappointment. And we got that the board recommends his reappointment.
yes,
And then we got that the board recommends Rose Wright for appointment.
yes. And
Okay.
then you guys recommended Lisa Pope, and that would take care of your vacancies on your municipal golf course.
Okay, so Joe Thomas, Rose Wright, and Lisa Pope.
Yes.
Everybody good with that?
That's fine with me.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Historic District Commission, I got Alicia Wiley Leonard and Alicia Pierce are both eligible for reappointment.
Yes.
And then somehow I got Thomas Locken written in under there.
Yes, he would be replacing Miss Alana Moore.
I don't have any problem with that.
Everybody okay with that? All right. Goldsboro Recreation and Parks. We need, Diana Taylor is not gonna be reappointed, so we gotta have somebody to replace her. And then, Ty, you were gonna find us somebody for the school?
Yes, sir, I've reached out, to a student, that confirmed that he would do it.
Can you give him her name?
Yes,
So he
sir.
can reach out to her?
Yes.
We have contact form and everything?
Okay.
That'd be okay? Excuse me. Will that take care of the school?
That'll take care of the student, and then we just need a recommendation
For the reappointment.
for a regular appointment. Yes, sir.
Does anybody have anybody they want to see as a,
No problem. I recommend.
huh?
Don't have any problem.
Well, you ain't said nothing, so you can't have any problem. We got to come up with one.
I did notice that Miss Tanya Barber from District 3 had filled out an application, if you guys were okay with that.
For Parks and
Because
Rec?
we don't have too many from District 3.
Yeah, like I said, I'd like to see her, as I mentioned, on that board. And I know we're gonna call in on community relations. I don't have a lot of representation seen in any area, so I would like to see her on that board.
All right,
Tanya,
Tanya
that'd be my
Barber.
recommendation.
Has anybody talked to her?
I haven't,
You have or have
no,
not?
I had not.
Did you say on the Parks and Rec?
On the, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Because she
recreation
did fill
advisory.
out an application, and that was
Yeah.
listed as her,
Well, now, y'all are confusing me. Are we on Parks and Rec?
yes.
Okay. And somebody's gonna ask her if she wants to serve on that board.
Well, she filled out an application and put that as her third choice, but she did fill out an application for
Okay, well,
that.
can somebody confirm that she
Yes.
wants to, and we'll do that? All right. All right. Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
Okay, under that, you guys had made a reappointment of Mr. Tyrone Starkey, and then we needed 3 appointments. But if you are appointing Ms. Lancaster to the Commission on Community Relations and Development, we would need just 1 more appointment.
Now, let me ask you, under here I've got that Michael Gerards or whatever resigned, right? So we gotta replace him, right? And then I got Crystal Lemon, board recommends replacement. And I got Condra Hill, and the board recommends replacement. So there's 3 people we're trying to put on there, am I seeing that right?
You are, but at the last meeting, you guys discussed Marcus Lewis, David Snodgrass, and Tyrone Starkey, so you would just need 1 more appointment.
Well, who discussed them? And I assume we have discussed them, excuse me, but did anybody ever talk to them?
No, sir.
I
They
mean,
have filled out an application. Oh, you're talking about the board, the Mayor's Committee for
Yeah.
Persons with Disabilities.
Yeah.
Let me look back at my sheet right here to see if they had recommended anybody. They have not recommended anyone according to my notes.
So I think maybe we ought to go back to them first.
Okay,
Okay, can y'all do that?
absolutely.
And so just clarify that that board's okay with those folks.
Okay.
All right. All right, next we got the Goldsboro Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. You had 1 appointment and possibly 2 appointments, reappointments that you guys had discussed, and you discussed appointing Miss April Rojas. And then the board recommended reappointment of Anthony Slater and Chris Boyette. And the board recommended reappointing Chris for a term of 3 years.
Anybody have any problem with any of that?
No, and I want to follow up on Ms. Rojas, because as I'm looking, she's one of the only applicants in my district, and that was her first choice. So I'd just like to see representation in District
She's
3.
there.
She's on, she's up.
But I don't see
Yes,
him
sir.
on here.
Okay.
Am I missing?
No, she's on the
She's good.
front
Okay.
page.
Huh?
She's on the front page. Right here on this one, Chair.
Okay, and on the Tourism Council, you guys discussed reappointments of Edward Davis, Charles Brogdon, and appointing Sheila Exum. And that was also who the board recommended. So I think we're good.
Okay, so is everybody good? Okay. All right, so I guess can we have a motion to approve the changes suggested tonight?
So move.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. All right, so we got that done, right, Melissa?
Yes, sir. Does you have a copy of that one?
I just saw it behind it. Yep, it was hidden behind it. Okay.
Hey, Tim, do you want to let Craig go ahead and come in here?
Yeah.
And then we'll do replacement. Before you get in here, you know you're an invited guest, right?
I am an invited guest.
Okay, I just want to be sure. And you know we don't like invited guests to stay very long.
I know, I said 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, if you're still, if somebody's still here when you're out there in 3 hours, let me know, please.
Would y'all mind if I took this off?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Had a exciting day, didn't you?
Great day today. We had a very good day today. We're excited and it really worked out well at the Maxwell Center. I thought it turned out very, very well today. So, you ready anytime?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, good. Again, I'm Craig Kennicott, and I'm glad to be here today. It's good to see everybody. First, let me thank y'all for what y'all do, and we appreciate our relationship with the city of Goldsboro. One of the things that we did want to do, and we have not done a great job, is kind of talk about with the municipalities about the changes that have occurred with WCDA and how we're now doing economic development here in Wayne County. So one of my goals is try to get out to all the municipalities and kind of share what we're doing, the changes that are there, but what has not changed also. So if we can go to the next slide. Again, what's different? We are now part of a regional economic development group with Lenoir County, Greene County, and the Global Transpark. All new leads that are generated will be generated through the Global Transpark and this new regional group. So Mark Pope is still working for us. We are still contracting with this group to do that work. But instead of the leads coming here locally, they will go to the Global Transpark on a regional basis. One of the things we're also working on as well, they are going to set up an advisory board to make sure that all counties in the GTP are in the loop. So we will have a separate board now made up of 2 members from our board and the managers to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So again, we've got some things that are different, but also we've got a lot of things that are the same. If we can go to the next slide. WCDA, which is the Wayne County Development Alliance, will still continue to operate. We will still continue to raise money for product here in Wayne County. That's one of the big things that we are doing now with Convergent. The city should be involved in that or been asked to participate. but we're still raising money on the nonprofit side to get ready for product. We will still only spend WCDA money here in Wayne County. No money will be spent from WCDA on the regional aspect. It will only be spent here in Wayne County. And again, we still have a WCDA board that is made up of people from Mount Olive, the county, and also the city as well. And again, even though we're having some changes with personnel, and personnel will be housed out of the GTP, Mark will be housed out of the GTP, Tiffany Creech, though, will be housed at Wayne Community College. Tiffany serves as our industry development person, and she's existing industry. So she's going to work with Craig Fauché to make sure that we still have that presence here. Because the biggest thing that you find locally in working with industry is that's where your expansions come from, is existing industry. You'll get new industry every now and then, which will come through the regional aspect. But Tiffany will still be here doing the same job she's always done on a daily basis, meeting with clients, meeting with local industries, doing those things to make sure that we're getting the word out of what we're doing. And the nice thing about this is she will be able to coordinate with the community college, especially on workforce development issues. Workforce is a huge issue within our community, and the community college is such a great partner. Craig has done a great job as well. So we're really adding just another tool to our toolbox that Tiffany will have by having that direct relationship with the community college. And again, even though Mark is housed out of the GTP, Mark will still serve as the president of WCDA. Next slide, please. So why the change? You know, there's been a lot of questions. Why did we have this change? Well, if you've been out to the Global Trans Park, the Global Trans Park is probably one of the most underutilized economic development resources here in Eastern North Carolina. Again, the GTP was supposed to be like the RTP was for the Triangle. But the GTP, having that niche of aviation, and I'll give you some specific information on the GTP in a minute, but it's underutilized. Millions of dollars that the state has put into the GTP, and it has so much potential that we felt like working at it through a regional aspect will really help us. But also, if you look at economic development is really done on a regional basis. So really, what's good for Lenoir is good for Greene, is good for Wayne, is good for the GTP. So whatever happens, you know, economic development does not know boundaries. So this is really a good thing for us. But as we said, we have assets individually. Wayne County has a lot of assets. Lenoir County has assets. Greene County has assets. But working together as a regional aspect, it will play off each other's strengths. And again, the more eyes that we can get on Eastern North Carolina and the more eyes that we can get on our region, the more people will hopefully come look and develop and put money and invest in Eastern North Carolina. Next slide, please. We need to bring out, we need to stand out to bring new companies, as I said, to the area. And this is really the first multi-county state partnership in the state. So we're really doing something on cutting edge that we think is on the edge for economic development for our region. So again, it is a partnership with the state of North Carolina, Greene County, Lenoir County, and Wayne County. So everybody has a little bit of skin in the game. But again, the larger region we are, the more eyes that we are going to have on Eastern North Carolina, Wayne County specifically. But again, we're trying to expand our footprint. The more we can expand our footprint to get people interested, hopefully the more interest we'll get from larger industry. Next slide, please. So what does this mean for budget? Normally, the county spends about $550,000 a year for economic development. And basically, what the county has done in the past is we have funded the economic development arm. We have treated that like a county department. So Mark's salaries, Tiffany's salaries, Tim's salaries, Tim Moore, who's a marketing person, and Julie Hell's salaries all came from the county. Also, the operational costs came from the county as well, from insurance to rent. We had rent that we're paying for a lease out on Malloy Street. So all those costs were borne by the county. So what our thought process was, let's invest $150,000 into this new regional group. So we are partnered to participate with $150,000. It's about a $600,000 to $700,000 venture, but between the state and the other counties and Wayne County, that's how we're making up the budget. Again, we're still contracting separately with the community college for Tiffany Creech's position for existing industry. That's about $75,000. The thought process that we have is there's going to be a savings. And should we take the savings and just put it back into our general fund? No, that's not what we're planning to do. What we really want to do is to leverage our funds with funds that are raised by WCDA. That way we got a larger influx of money, and that way we can create more product here in Wayne County. Next slide, please. So what is product? You know, product is what we have really been looking at. And if you ever talk to Mark Pope, Mark will tell you that what people look for when they look at new industry, they want shell buildings, they want site-ready sites. We want the Goldsboro Industrial Campus, what we're trying to work out on Patetown Road. They want the unknowns taken out of it. They want to, when they're ready to move, they're ready to move. So we need to have product to get people looking at Wayne County. So that's what we want to do. We want to take the guesswork out of those industries coming into Wayne County. We want to give them good sites that we can say, hey, you can move in tomorrow. You know, with our shell building right now, there's 3 or 4 different companies that are looking at the shell building. It's 50,000 square feet of industrial space, but it would take a little bit of upfit and somebody can move in tomorrow. So there's a lot of different things that we're trying to do, but again, to have good product in Wayne County is really very important, and is something that WCDA's really focused on, and something the county is really focused in on as well. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about why the Global Transport. And this is a couple of things about the Global Transport that really make it unique. And again, it has been very underutilized within eastern North Carolina. It is 2,500 acres of industrial sites out at the Global Transport. It has an 11,500-foot runway, and that is the second largest civilian runway on the East Coast. So they're really doing a lot of different things with Spirit Air. They're also working with a lot of things with the base to bring in a lot of different aviation groups in. Also, it is a foreign trade zone, which offers individuals and businesses in a 22-county area the opportunity to import foreign goods and raw materials into a duty-free zone. So again, the GTP is really one of those things that has been underutilized. I think it's fair to say it's been a political boondoggle throughout the years, that they have really had politicians trying to do economic development out there. Now we have Mark out there that is really good and knows what he's doing. Mark knows the area, loves the area, from the area. He's worked in Lenore, he's worked in Wayne County. So Mark has an investment in the area. So we thought, why not try this? Again, be the first in the state to have this partnership with the state and also the 3 counties. Next slide, please. That's it. That's kind of short and sweet. I did tell the mayor it would be 3 hours if you wanted it to be. But if there's any questions or any concerns, then I'll be glad to answer.
Thoughts, comments, anybody want to know anything?
Good
Looks like you
idea.
did good, Craig. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Greg.
all right. Do I need to stay around or?
No,
Oh, okay, I didn't know if I needed to be around till
no, you're good.
your regular
You're
meeting.
done, man.
Okay.
You're good.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
How can the city, how can the city?
How can the city help?
Whose side you on?
I'm on both sides. I'm bridging the gap.
That's right. One of the things, and again, I will say this, and we realize this going through WCDA and trying to raise funds, we haven't done a good job of sharing the information of what we're doing and how this affects everybody. So I guess if the city could, if you have any questions, concerns, let us know. If there's any additional information you need, let us know. We'll be happy to share all the information that we have with you. I just need to do a better job about sharing what's going on so y'all are not in the dark, and that when you get questions from the community, you can be able to answer those questions. So that's something we're working on as far as sharing communication and sharing information better.
I think once a year, or maybe twice a year, or whatever is the right amount, excuse me, you ought to come over here and just brief us on.
I'm more than happy to, anytime.
And Greg, we don't like to get surprised when somebody comes in, we need $100,000, and we've heard nothing about it before.
Yes, sir.
It's the big secret. Everything is the big secret until we're asked for 100,000, 200,000 or something.
Yes, sir.
Give us at least some idea of what's going on.
Yes, sir. I agree.
All right, well, thanks, Greg.
All
I
right, guys.
appreciate you
Thank you,
coming.
All right, thank you. All right.
Hey, Craig.
All right, so now we're gonna, y'all wanna go, talk about, the replacement? How we're gonna do that?
Yeah, Ron sent an email earlier today. You want to talk to that, Ron?
I just sent an email earlier providing some different procedures. The state statutes nor our code of ordinances establishes a procedure for filling a vacancy. And so back when Mr. Stevens had resigned, then there was a discussion at that point, determination at that point was, because it's so close to the election, that y'all as a council decided not to try to fill the seat. In this situation, you don't have that leisure, I guess, to say we're not going to build one for an election. You've got too much time in between. So I think what the statute is, you've got to do it within a reasonable period of time. It doesn't say the exact amount of time like the county commissioner statute does. But with a reasonable period of time, I think you need to establish some procedures on how you're going to do it. So I've sent you some examples. Y'all can read those and think about how you want to approach doing it. The one the county used when Mr. Gurley passed away is kind of the simple to the point one. I'll admit the one I did last year was a little more convoluted, but it was only because anticipating ties with more than one applicant. And then when you got that, you got to figure out, well, how are we going to handle that now if it was a tie? And so I tried to anticipate that being an issue when I did those procedures. So I would ask you to take a look at those, put it on another council meeting, get a chance to review it, and decide the procedure. And at that point, then you can begin the process of trying to fill the vacancy. I do think just out of procedural matter today, as a result of Mr. Williams being sworn in as the county commissioner this morning, and then I think he did hand up his handwritten, or not handwritten, but anyway, his written resignation earlier. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because of that, I just think procedurally, should entertain a motion to just declare the seat vacant, and then just further discussion on the record that you'll come back again at another meeting to establish the procedures.
Well, Melissa, can we, do you have time in the next 2 weeks to get the things out to everybody so they can get it back to you on how we want to do it? So that at our next meeting, we can talk about it and talk through it?
Yes, sir.
You do?
I can just place copies in your box if that would be easier.
That's fine, huh?
You want the
Because
paper?
Ron
As I
sent
sent an email today
information.
with all that attached already.
Okay, well, we'll just use your email, right?
Yeah, I've already I attached all those to that already.
Okay, well, we can just use your email.
Okay.
And then what we'll try to do is we'll try to do it by our next meeting, or, at our next meeting.
Have a procedure, yeah, then you'll establish some dates as far as when people can apply, if they want to apply for the position, that sort of thing.
But I mean, to me, we need to make it as fast as we can.
Thank you. I could have put that in.
Thank you, sir. All right. That takes care of that.
Mayor, Ron mentioned you may want to declare the seat vacant with a motion and a second.
Somebody want to make a motion to declare the seat vacant?
I make a motion that the current, the seat on District 2, District 1 be declared vacant.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Okay. And then we're gonna do a thing for you, but we're gonna do that at 7 o'clock at the big meeting, okay? All right. All right. That takes care of that, I guess. Is there anything else we got?
Consent agenda items, you want to go through that, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
You want to go to the consent
But there's
agenda
nothing
item?
else under new business over?
No,
there?
nothing else
All
there.
right, we got all that? Okay. Yeah, we can do the consent agenda.
Okay, I would just note, with the consent agenda, when it comes to an ordinance, let me read North Carolina General Statute 168, Tax 75, portion of it. No ordinance nor any action having the effect of any ordinance may be finally adopted on the date on which it is introduced, except by an affirmative vote equal to or greater than 2/3 of all the actual membership of the council, excluding vacant seats, and including the mayor, not including the mayor unless the mayor has the right to vote, which he does here, on all questions before the council. So what you have now is 6, and a supermajority, or 2/3, is 4. So you all need to vote, since there's only 4 people here tonight, vote unanimously for the first item B, which is an ordinance. And I recommend if any of these items under the consent agenda you would disagree with, that we move that to items requiring individual action so that we can get approval of the consent agenda items.
Is there anybody who would have a problem voting yes for B?
We can have that presented to you, sir, here by the finance director.
Okay.
You can have the same issue on C. You'll see is a contract award. So for a contract,
I'm sorry, C.
number C, it also, any measure requires authorized expenditure of funds, also requires that, so I think you're going to have a 4 on that as well. I try to break down each different one of those, since we have a limited number of folks here today, as to what's going to be required for approval. And if we went down the list, B would require all 4, C would require all 4, D would require 3, E3, F3, G3, H4, I4, and J3.
Mr. Lawrence, can you repeat, you said I
would be 4.
would need to be 4?
Yeah, that's a zoning ordinance.
But that's not to say it couldn't come back, right,
That's right,
Ron?
it can come back.
Right.
If necessary, if there's going to be.
Because I can tell you now, I'm not in agreement with that one, so if you
Okay, so
throw anything
I,
out, I don't know.
And that's under items requiring individual
So
action.
I and J are related. So if y'all wanted to remove those from the agenda tonight, because I and J are related,
Maybe you're gonna have to.
That may be the best, because I can tell you, I'm not in agreement with the car wash in that location.
so I guess somebody need to make a motion to remove items I and J from the agenda. And put them on
I
the
make
next
a motion
agenda.
to remove I and J from the agenda until we reconvene with more members.
Is there a second? There's not a second? All right, well then, I guess you can't make the motion, because there's not a second.
I'll just advise if it stays on, doesn't get the required votes, then of course it's going to fail.
Say that again.
And
If it
it will-
stays on, doesn't get the required yays, then it's going to fail. All right.
All right, Catherine.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have an amendment to the grant project ordinance for the CARES Act Miscellaneous Grant Special Revenue Fund in the amount of $10,750. City Council adopted a resolution at the November 16, 2020 meeting to accept an award from the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina as a subrecipient of CARES Act funding in the amount of $10,750 to help promote visitor economy in the Goldsboro, Wayne County that was due to the impact of the COVID-19. The period of performance is March 1 until December 30th of 2020, and tonight we're asking you to appropriate the revenues and expenditures of $10,750 so that the city may begin to fulfill the terms of the grant. There is no match for this grant.
Any questions? All right.
Ms. Cat, I don't think you have any more presentations tonight, or do you?
No, sir, I don't. This was my only item.
Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I think, the elephant in the room with the audit. First, I'd like to read just a short, brief email that several of the council members received. A few didn't. I know you didn't, so I just want to read this from a constituent of mine. Today, I received an email along with over 3,000, I assume to be concerned citizens, informing us of the city manager and finance director's inability to turn over a long overdue audit for fiscal year 2019, which has led to the suspension of nearly $700,000 in North Carolina Housing Finance Agency funding, the withdrawal of the city's bond rating by Moody's Investor Service, and the loss of the city's ability to borrow money. We were urged to reach out to the 5 specific councilmen that it went to. This person happens to be a District 3 resident and says, I want to say I have always admired those who lead our city with integrity, fairness, and with courage. But I must agree with the email we all received earlier. You gentlemen are not leading our city. You have relinquished your authority and duties of being good stewards over our city's finances and our city's future for your city manager and finance director. You have not put taxpayers and getting the city back on track first over your city manager. You have a captivated audience of citizens who see your unwillingness to not correct this appalling situation and remove the city manager to hold him accountable. You have made it difficult for us to stand by you, and that is extremely sad for us and our city. Do something that we elected you to do to care about our livelihoods and make the tough decisions. Even the Wayne County Public School Board eventually removed the superintendent in the midst of incredibly financial woes. He caused no different than the city manager is causing now. So I don't know, I don't recall, and like I said, it wasn't emailed to you, it was sent to just a few, not all the council members, but I wanted everybody to be aware of this concerned citizens statement. But I don't know if you recall, a few months ago, I'm a school employee with the Wayne County Public School System, and I said something was very similar to our situation with our deficit with school employees, which may face losing jobs, which I hope that wouldn't happen here with our situation. But I guess the question I would ask you, Ms. Catherine, and like I said, this is not to attack you in any way, but if you were to, and also Mr. Salmon, to evaluate your performance as far as this has affected citizens of the city. And District 3 happens to be probably 70% impoverished community, and that's the district I represent. I was voted, and my campaign, my platform, was to stand by city employees as I once was a city employee, but also put the words accountability and priority in my campaign as well. So the question I would ask, and this goes to you and the city manager, to give an assessment of your performance regarding this and the monies or resources that have been pulled out. How would you evaluate your status in this situation?
Let me talk first here. So, council approved the new auditors council approved the new auditors on May 20th, 2019. That was the second meeting I was the city manager.
Yes, sir.
So the change was in work before my time. I came aboard with new auditors. You had the previous auditors for 22 years. It seemed like a pretty good idea to me when you should be rotating auditors every 3, 5, 7 years to change auditors. So the problem is you have a new city manager, you have a new finance director, you have a new deputy finance director, and you have a new auditor that needs to go through this paperwork and figure it out. So we've had extensions that the council was well aware of, I believe in March, June, and September. And now we are getting to the end of the road, I believe. Mayor Allen and I and the finance director had a discussion with our new auditors, Dixon Hughes and Goodman, this morning. They confirmed that we will receive the majority, about 90% of our audit at the end of this week. And then they have a few more tests to be running. I have asked the auditors to give council a presentation on the second week in December. So your next council meeting, you will hear from the auditors as to what the problems have been. And I think that's been presented to you all in closed session as well as open session. And Catherine, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, we are at the end of this, and, we take the situation very seriously. I know myself personally, I've worked several thousand hours over trying to do my job and trying to get this audit done. We've had various issues, prior period issues that we've had to deal with, and again, trying to rebuild history. And, our new auditors want to ensure that the numbers that are in the financial statements are as accurate as they can be. And as I said, we've almost had to rebuild the 2018 audit in order to get the 2019 audit done. So to me, these are extenuating circumstances that you would not have in normal years. So I think we've tried to go above and beyond, and we certainly have been working as hard as we can to get this done, and I foresee very soon that we should be winding this up. So we certainly take it very seriously, and we have a very serious responsibility to our citizens and our taxpayers.
Okay, in closing, I just wanted to say, I 100% have confidence, and still do, because I signed the signature to send up. So that should show you that I had confidence, and I was kind of blindsided. Spoke with a couple council members that night regarding us not meeting the deadline. So if you were to paint a picture, because I'm not one to say that I inherited the issue, because I was sworn in, as you know, in December 2nd of 2019, which it was already behind as of October. So I knew that when I came in, so I'm not using that as an excuse, but my responsibility is this year's budget, which is also behind. So I guess I'm kind of foreshadowing here, but how soon would you see these investments in these bonds and all these things, that resources that we've lost, be replenished, and people have, a timeline of when they could possibly, because I know a lot of people that were already on a waiting list, waiting for funds and things that have been, as far as housing and things of that nature. And I don't think the investment or the confidence in the investment with the city is going to be the same based on what we've gone through. So is there any prediction of when these resources may become available that were pulled away like Hood? And is there any timetable that you think that maybe this stuff will come back, or has it just been suspended permanently, or how does that work?
Are you speaking about the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency funds?
Yes, ma'am.
So they just suspended reimbursements.
Okay.
They didn't tell us to stop working. The
Okay.
money is still there. The manager has been in discussions with NC Housing Finance Agency, and he has gotten an extension
Okay.
on one pool of funds. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is working on the urgent repair portion to get an extension on those.
Yes, ma'am.
So the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, in my conversation with one of the top folks that is there, is that they want us to keep spending the money. It was our choice to stop spending the money because they were suspending the reimbursements. Their conversation directly to me is, as soon as we get the audit turned in to them, they are more than willing and able to start the reimbursements again, so we'll start spending again.
Thanks for that.
And it was just a matter of just being mindful of our cash. So because they've given us the extension on the one pool of funds, the essential single-family rehab,
Yes, ma'am.
we will have until the end of December to do that. And the council had only appropriated a portion of that money. So there's a total, I think, of like $675,000. The council hasn't even appropriated all that money yet because they award it in segments. So they award somewhere like in the range of like 150 or 200,000 at a time. The city has only done one portion of it. That portion got, if I'm not mistaken, got approved in, this is way before my time, I think it was 2018, like May or June of 18. So we're still trying to spend that money. And once we get that money spent, then they'll let us get another portion, and I will come back to council with a budget amendment. And so we can still spend up to the 675, but we have to spend it. So there are a lot of other moving pieces as far as getting people to apply and to get approved in the system. And I think that was one of the issues, was trying to get enough people that were qualified to go in the system. But as far as the reimbursements are concerned, those will take back up as soon as we return the audit to them.
I can speak to it a little bit. So the Essential Single Family Rehabilitation Loan Pool Disaster Relief Agreement, which was originally dated in January 24, 2017, has been modified as of November 19th, 2020, with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, where I signed to extend the period of performance from June 30, 2019 to December 31st, 2021. So you have another year from now to spend these funds. So all homes eligible for $625,000 currently suspended by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency must be under contract by December 31st, 2021. And you can complete that before June 30th, 2022. So we have quite a period of time to execute these funding. Unfortunately, it's been delayed, but we have extended that. So that money's not gone. And when it comes to the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency Urgent Repair Program 2019 funding agreements, which were signed on August 12th, 2019, we've received $50,000 of the $100,000 there, and we are working on having a similar extension done for those programs. So I don't think we're going to lose that money. I think we'll be able to spend the money. We just need to get the audit done and move forward.
Thank you for the explanation.
Any more questions on that? All right.
Thank you, Captain.
Jim, Robert, you got item C?
I think I got a lot.
Huh?
I got several after that.
Oh,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
But yes, we will start with item C. Item C is the contract award for the Unified Development Ordinance Update Assistance. The City of Goldsboro requested proposals to assist the city with the Unified Development Ordinance update to reflect the Chapter 160D reorganization. In 2019, the North Carolina General Assembly adopted a complete reorganization of the state's planning and development regulation statutes and named it Chapter 160D. To conform to this new regulatory and statutory framework, every city and county development regulation in the state of North Carolina must adopt his or her ordinances by August 1st of 2021. The City of Goldsboro first adopted its Unified Development Ordinance in what we refer to as the UDO in 2005 and has amended it from time to time over the past 15 years. The main purpose of the update is to focus on the reorganization mandated by Chapter 160D. However, the update is also to include revisions to Articles 5, which is zoning as it relates to general setback, height, and area standards, table permitted uses, supplemental use regulations in the Historic Preservation Overlay District, Article 6, supplemental design standards as it relates to parking standards, and Article 8, administrative agencies to ensure all boards and commissions reflect the recent updates of the city's Code of Ordinances, Chapter 32. The firm selected will provide professional consulting services for the city to update, revise, and modernize the existing UDO, ensure its conformance with the state land use and zoning laws, including Chapter 160D, and implement the applicable updates to Article 5, 6, and 8. 3 consultants submitted proposals, and submittals were evaluated based on 7 criteria: quality of the proposal, project management, project team, project approach, project timeline, cost estimate, and references. Upon review, the evaluation indicated Stewart Incorporated scored the highest based on qualifications, past experience, project approach, and cost. Stewart is a planning, design, and engineering firm located in Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, and Wilmington. Stewart has extensive background and knowledge developing codes and ordinances in other North Carolina communities. Their team is skilled in preparing and updating UDOs. They're well organized, user-friendly, and in conformance with the current North Carolina general statutes. In order to achieve the goals of the city in this update, Stewart proposes a work program that is divided into 3 phases. Phase 1 will be the project initiation, which will involve a kickoff meeting with staff, as well as the Planning Commission and City Council. Phase 2 is the UDO preparation and composition, which will involve working meetings with staff, release of the first draft UDO update, and public informational presentations with the Planning Commission and City Council. And finally, Phase 3 is the adoption, which will involve periodic coordination with staff, release of final draft of the UDO, Planning Commission review, recommendation, and City Council review adoption. The fee proposal for this project has been reviewed by the Planning Department as well as the Finance Director. Sufficient funds are available within the Planning Department's FY21 budget within the UDO update, not exceeding $35,000 as budgeted. Upon notice to proceed, the consultant anticipates the development of the UDO update being completed by May 2021. It is recommended by motion adopt the attached resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a contract not to exceed $35,000 with Stewart Incorporated for the UDO Development Ordinance Update Assistance. Any questions?
Jennifer, this just reaffirms what we've been working on all these years. The UDO gives us...
These are our development and zoning regulations that city adopted in 2005. So this is everything that involves site plan development, building elevations, parking standards, landscaping. A lot of the UDO or the Chapter 160D is terminology is going to change. It's taken the city and the county and joining the municipality so everybody's under one code from a process standpoint. You still have the authority to, as a council, to have your development regulations, building standards, setbacks, all that kind of stuff is still the city's code, but the consultant will come in and make sure that it adheres to the general statutes as they were recently amended.
Brings us up to date.
It will bring us up to date, yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I need.
I just wanted to point out that 160D does have a deadline itself when the cities have to have it enacted as far as to follow. So
And that's
part
August
of-
1st. Mhm.
That's right, and that's why you've got to have this consultant coming in to make sure all that's being followed, and they're going to do
That's
that.
good, because we sometimes have interpretation problems. This is clear that it doesn't.
And the consultant will work and make sure presentations are done before council, so new terminology. I mean, staff can do that as well, but our cost includes the consultant coming in and bringing everyone up to date, including Planning Commission.
Good. Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, that's item H. That's a good item, I, right?
We're on D.
D.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Down one, okay, yeah. All right.
So item D is S1120 KG Plaza LLC. This is a preliminary subdivision plat of 80 lots of Magnolia Grove Phase 1 development. The property is located on the east side of 11th Street between Norwood Avenue and Inglewood Drive. On October the 7th of 2019, City Council approved a zoning change for the subject property from residential R16 and residential R9 to residential conditional district R6 for the construction of 303 lot cluster subdivision. This Phase 1, the developer has decided to phase this project out, so Phase 1 is before you tonight. The plat indicates 80 lots for Phase 1 development with a total of 20.2 acres. And as I just stated, it does have 80 residential lots within the proposed subdivision. 3 new streets are proposed with curb and gutter within the first phase of development and identified as Grove Lane, Ivory Lane, and Pioneer Drive. Grove Lane will serve as one of 2 main entrances to the subdivision off of 11th Street for approximately 800 feet and terminate to a cul-de-sac in accordance with the city's street standards. Ivory Lane will serve as a main intersecting street within the subdivision for approximately 800 feet, and Pioneer Street will originate off Ivory Lane for approximately 600 feet and terminate to a city-approved cul-de-sac. Proposed streets will be designed and constructed in accordance with the city engineering standards. At least 20% of the total project area shall be reserved as commonly held open space and be preserved in a natural or vegetative state. The applicant is reserving approximately 24.7 acres of the entire site as open space with maintenance by a homeowners association. City water and sewer are available to serve the subdivision. As such, the applicant will be required to annex into the Goldsboro city limits. The property proposed for Phase 1 construction of the subdivision is not located within the special flood hazard area, and stormwater calculation and drainage plans are being reviewed by city engineering. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on November the 30th recommended approval of the preliminary subdivision plat. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the preliminary subdivision plat.
Any questions for Jennifer?
I have a question, Ms. Jennifer. How often are the drainage plans reviewed? I've got a issue with Musgrave Manor where the subdivision actually, or area behind it, over years, storm drainage and stuff, the pine needles, I guess, or whatever, have accumulated. I think you went out there, Mayor, with, so is it reviewed like over time, or is it once it's done and that's it?
I believe, and I can find out more information, but I do believe all the stormwater utility ponds, anything, bioretention ponds, devices, they are inspected annually, I believe.
Okay.
So it's handled through the engineering department to make sure things are functioning properly, and drainage properly. But if there are any immediate concerns, please let us know, and we can make sure that gets into the right construction inspector, and they can go out and take a look at it.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Well, I don't think it would be reasonable to think that they're all getting inspected every year.
Right,
They're not.
right.
There's no way.
But a good example is what they did behind the Presbyterian Church, where they cleaned that out. Good,
Okay,
that's an example.
yes, sir.
And it may not be every year. I'm not 100% sure on what that inspection time frame is, but I can confirm that and clarify.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
All right. So that was item D.
We are now item E, which is Site 2620, and again, this is KG Plaza. This is the actual site plan that is associated with this preliminary subdivision plat that I just reviewed. The submitted site plan indicates 80 lots within the proposed Phase 1 development project for single-family residential construction. The property will be served by one of two primary access drives off 11th Street. Grove Lane will serve as the main entrance for the Phase 1 development, and since 11th Street is a state-maintained road, NCDOT driveway permits will be required. The applicant has been informed that future road improvements along 11th Street will be required before the 303-lot cluster subdivision is complete in accordance with NCDOT specifications. NCDOT has informed the applicant that no road improvements will be required for Phase 1 portion of the property. Included as part of the development is a 1.58-acre stormwater retention pond, and 2.4 acres are reserved for a future clubhouse. At the completion of Phase 1 road improvements, street trees will be provided for each residential lot in accordance with the city's landscape ordinance. City water and sewer are available to serve the subdivision, and again, stormwater calculations and drainage plans are in review with city engineering currently. According to the City of UDO, sidewalks are required along one side of all minor streets, including cul-de-sacs within the proposed subdivision. The submitted site plan shows sidewalks as required by the city subdivision design standards within the subdivision. In addition to the internal sidewalks within the proposed development, external sidewalks along 11th Street are required. Since the city's recommended facilities and pedestrian plan does not identify sidewalks for this area, the applicant is requesting a modification of the city's sidewalk installation and requesting to pay the fee in lieu in the amount of $9,360 to be paid to City of Goldsboro for those along 11th Street. Interconnectivity has been provided east of the proposed development and adjacent to existing residential development. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on November the 30th recommended approval of the site and landscape plans with the requested modifications. It is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the site and landscape plans with the modification to install city sidewalks and pay the fee in lieu of sidewalk construction in the amount of $9,360.
All right. Anybody got any questions, comments? All right, you'll move to the next agenda.
The final one on consent agenda is item F. Site 2320 is the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Service. Is site and landscape plans for the Cherry Research Farm office. The property is located on the south side of Old Smithfield Road between Stevens Mill Road and O'Berry Center Road. It is formerly known as the Cherry Research Farm, specializing in agricultural research and sustainability. The facility provides a diverse mix of livestock operations as well as field and horticultural crops. The proposed site is currently clear and vacant. The submitted site plan indicates a single-story, roughly 2,000 square foot building proposed for use as a research farm office facility. The commercial building will consist of 2 offices, a conference room, a break room, a reception area, mechanical and storage area, and restrooms for employees. Hours of operation Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., with 3 to 4 employees. The site will be served by an approximately 60-foot wide gravel curb cut proposed off Old Smithfield Road and is subject to NCDOT for approval. The applicant has proposed a 30-foot wide compact gravel access drive that will provide parking for 13 gravel spaces located at the front of the facility. According to the city's UDO, access drives, parking lots, and parking lot spaces shall be paved with asphalt or concrete. The applicant is requesting that the proposed access drive and parking lot be gravel in lieu of asphalt based on the agricultural context of the site and the fact that other farm roads upon the property are compacted gravel. A modification of the paving requirement will be necessary. I just do want to make it clear that the handicapped accessible, They will pave the handicap accessible lot, or it will be concrete, so it will have proper ADA access. A total of 13 parking spaces have been provided, including 1 handicap parking space. Exterior sidewalks are required for new commercial development. However, according to our pedestrian and facilities plan, sidewalks are not recommended for this area, and the applicant is requesting to pay the fee in lieu of the sidewalk installation in the amount of $3,420. Interior concrete sidewalks are shown on the submitted site plan leading from the parking lot into the principal building. A total of 4 street trees are proposed along Smithfield or Old Smithfield Road. The development is exempt from the vehicular surface area planting requirements, and the applicant's proposing additional trees and shrubs to serve as foundation plantings. Exterior building components consist of asphalt shingles, fiber cement vertical siding, wood trim, and facial boards with glazed windows. The site is not located within a special flood hazard, city water and sewer, or hazard area. City water and sewer are available to serve the property, and stormwater calculations are exempt from the site. However, grading and drainage plans have been submitted and are subject to our city engineering approval. Again, the applicant is requesting a modification of the city's pavement requirement. The Planning Commission at their meeting held on November 30th recommended approval of the site and landscape plans with the requested modifications and is recommended by motion accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the site and landscape plans with the modification of the paving requirement and modification of installation of sidewalks and pay the fee in lieu in the amount of $3,420.
Any questions or comments?
Any questions? Thank you.
All right. I guess the next thing we can move to is item G.
Oh, you want me to go ahead and do individual action items now or wait till your 7 o'clock?
I didn't hear you.
Got an hour.
Item G is requiring individual action. Do you want me to wait till 7 o'clock or move forward?
We might as well just wait.
Okay.
We're going to do it again. All right, is there anything else we need to talk about in here?
Closed session for personnel issues?
Okay. Do we have a motion to go to closed session?
I'll make a motion for closed session
For personnel.
for personnel issues.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. All those in favor, raise their hand. All right, we're in closed session.